Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 2. It is called Soul Hunter. So, full spoilers for the episode as all. Tara's already disappointed because I didn't do the thing that she wanted me to do.
Soul Hunter. How could you resist?
Do you know what was easy? I thought about it. I mapped out my plan of attack. I executed it. It went flawlessly. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm here to fix what you have done wrong.
Yes.
Just this one time, probably.
Now, feel free to embellish the character stuff if you want. I'm here for the facts. There are hard facts.
But you don't do any research.
I do research. I have IMDb open as I'm talking about it. That's research.
Anyway.
So yes, this is episode 2 of the show, and this episode revolves around a soul hunter, an alien being who arrives at Babylon 5 under mysterious circumstances, and causes quite a reaction in Delenn, of all people. So we'll get into stuff as we go. First of all, let's get the sad news out of the way. There is zero Londo in this episode.
This is definitely the worst episode.
Do you know what's so funny is I posted the episode 1 on Patreon, so obviously I had the thumbnail and all that done. And Tara saw the Patreon, the thumbnail, and said, "Oh, is Londo going in every thumbnail?" And I said, if I can pull it off, I can't justify it in this one. He's not even there.
I know. Unbelievable.
The streak has ended already. But no Jakar either, which does kind of make sense in a lot of ways, because if the first episode, not the Gallery, I mean, you know, the first proper episode of the season, was all about the Londo Jakar conflict, right, at the focus, at the central focus, then this episode is all about setting up Sinclair and Delenn, and setting up some of the stuff that we're going to be teasing for them going forward, and, you know, is it successful?
Even they were in the first one.
Oh, so. That's true, they were. Now, is it as successful as episode 1? I wouldn't say so. I think it's a weaker episode for sure.
We also didn't get any of the blonde lady.
Oh, yeah.
Can read minds.
Yes. Talia.
Talia. We also didn't get any of her in this.
Do you know what? I thought it was Talia, but I felt unconscious, and I thought if I say the wrong name, I'm going to get torn apart in the credits. So I took a second to check just to make sure it is Talia. Yes. The telepath. Yeah, none of her either. That's true. Which I don't mind. Focusing in because the first episode was very dense. I'd have been very surprised if they could have kept that density up every single episode, like all this going on at the same time. That said, we did introduce one of the other main characters, the new Doctor, Dr. Franklin. In fact, the episode even opens with him arriving on the station and being greeted by Ivanova and Sinclair.
He drops a line about where the other Doctor is back on Earth. Helping the president.
Yeah. I think there is a bit more like added to that later. I mean, I'll just say, I know this is a spoiler to say, but it's basically because he saw the Vorlon, he saw Kosh. That makes him kind of like special now, and that's why he's back on Earth, right? I think that was the only. I don't know if that actually comes up in the show later, or if I'm remembering that from somewhere else, but that's why he gets sent back to Earth, to the home world. But yeah, so we get to meet him. We get to see him in action pretty quickly, because we have this alien who arrives as a soul hunter, and most. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say it properly.
Soul hunter. How do you not want to? It's so much fun. So this ship, which is damaged, is coming towards the station. Sinclair goes to. There's a bit of an action sequence. Sinclair goes to pilot a ship. This has got kind of that Star Trek thing where, like, the commander of the entire station. Yeah, I didn't notice.
Yeah, keeps getting involved in like the forefront of all the act. Which, to be fair, Garibaldi does call him out on it later on in the episode.
Can he not like delegate even a little bit?
He's like, no, I'm going to do it myself. I like being a pilot.
I think it speaks to his character, because we know that he was very much involved with the war. Like, he's a front lines kind of guy. That he wants to be hands-on because he can do it.
I did like,
it's kind of like one of those things. Like, I'm just like one of you guys. You know, I'm willing to put myself into danger before I send my men out there or whatever. But it is like he is still the commander. Like, he should probably just get someone else to do it.
He should, and it was very much a problem with Kirk. But to compare it to another Star Trek thing, actually, Next Gen specifically,
I want to talk about the difference between Garibaldi arguing with Sinclair about why he shouldn't go and meet this, because later in the episode a second soul hunter arrives at the station, and he has a scene where he argues that he shouldn't go, that, you know, Garibaldi, the security chief, should go first with the, you know, some some red shirts basically. And I want to compare that to how Riker tells Picard that he shouldn't go to any dangerous situations, and
By strapping him into a chair basically.
Yeah,
with words.
Yeah, so Riker's whole thing is, no, it's not safe. You're commander, you're captain. You should not put yourself in danger because you're the most important person on the ship. You need to be there to make the calls. Garibaldi's reason is, look, it makes me look bad. I earn a paycheck pretending that I'm protecting you. So, you know, stop making me look bad.
Right.
He's the schlub version of Riker, and I love it. I'm here for it.
There could be only one Riker.
Yes, I think there could be only one Garibaldi as well. Quite frankly, I think they're both ones of a kind. I feel like there's almost like a spin-off where you connect the two universes, where Riker and Garibaldi are like, I don't know, open a restaurant together or something in their retirement.
Yeah, I bet they get along.
Yeah. Oh dear. So there's a bit of action sequence where he's trying to like grab the ship before it collides, because it's just sort of, you know, floating towards the station.
And Ivanova's like, we should shoot it.
Yes. And he's like, well, doesn't it present clear and present danger? And Ivanova, and I kind of like her sense of humor, kind of establishing, where she's like, this is not dangerous. I better check the rule book again. Like, she's really snarky with like her second guessing of Sinclair.
Honestly, like, I mean, Lando's like the best character because he's so energetic and he's well acted and he's really fun. But Ivanova's like a close second for me. From what I remember watching in this season 1 beforehand, I don't know, like, she really speaks to me.
Yeah, there's another moment later on where there's a couple of moments with her later on, but the one that I'm thinking of, there's at one point she basically just says, "I'm Russian. We understand these things," and just that's her point. That just ends her sentence.
Yeah, it's about like when the doctor's doing his like life and death speech, and
yeah, which we'll talk about.
They send a guy back to the stars. Yeah,
we'll talk about. There's a lot of Star Trek comparison to make with that, actually. There's a lot of Star Trek comparison to make with this show. And funnily enough, I've not seen Deep Space Nine, so I can't make any to Deep Space Nine, even though Deep Space Nine.
There's a Deep Space Nine connection in this episode.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Hell yeah. Big one.
So anyway, right, so but he's successful. He grabs the ships to save the person on board, and it has been attacked, so something's hit this ship, and they theorize it could be raiders or whatever. But they get him to medbay, and it's this alien being who's more or less human, but he's got like a bigger head with like a, not an eye, but like it's like a gem.
Yeah, something that you need to pop.
and his forehead. And Delenn, who, you know, just kind of casually strolls around with the commander, because she's like, hey, you know, the Minbari have met many an alien race. Maybe I can help identify him. You know, I can tell you who it is.
Just stroll on into sickbay.
And as soon as she sees who this is lying on the table, she grabs like either Garibaldi or Sinclair's guns from their holsters and tries to like fire a shot, like a complete mad woman.
It's so aggressive. It's like, I don't really know her character all that well, especially like if you're just watching it from The Gathering and the previous episode, where you're just like, she's pretty cool and calm and collected, and then episode 2 she just does a total 180 and goes complete mad woman.
Yeah,
and tries to shoot him.
It does two things. It sells the idea of just how dangerous she thinks this guy is, because she's flipping character on us completely. But I think the second thing it does is that throughout the rest of the episode, I think it does a good job of kind of justifying, in retrospect, like as we learn what this person is and what it means to her beliefs as a Minbari. Because I think that's actually the best stuff of the episode, is what we find out about the Minbari's like faith system and.
Oh, definitely. I really like the lore that gets brought up for the Minbari. It's a little bit of he's a soul taker, soul hunter. So like he's. So like our soul's real.
Say it the way you want to. Go on, just get out your system again.
Soul hunters. So we're dealing with souls, which already is like, okay, that's interesting. Like, is soul a real thing, or in this, or is it like the Doctor explains, where it's kind of like, well, maybe he can make a copy of the person's consciousness into like a digital form and be able to hold on to that. So in a way, they never are really gone that way, but
yeah, but not so. I mean, that's the debate that gets brought up here, where Franklin immediately is like, this is nonsense. And Joe, I liked is when the soul hunter wakes up I like that he keep smirking every time I say it. Right. I liked it when he woke up, when they say it's nonsense that he claims he can take souls. Like, the soul hunter just says, yes, utter nonsense, might as well let me go. Like, I love that he tries to use it to, like, let him get, a free roam of the ship. And Sinclair's smart enough not to just let him do that, but I love that he tried to use it. The performance from the soul hunter, like, there was parts of it I didn't like that much, but there's parts of it that I really liked. Like, some of the deliveries he had.
I actually liked him a lot too.
Yeah.
I think he's like pretty good at like scenery chewing, because it could be a really stupid performance if it was like, if it were on. Honestly, if it were on Star Trek, it probably would have been. It probably would have been one of those episodes that we could forget about. Yeah. But I mean, he does a good job here. There are a couple of moments that like actually made me laugh out loud. One of them was when the soul taker, when he gets up for the first time and he's just like standing straight behind the class, behind the doctor, and the doctor just turns around and is like, "Oh, I guess you're up."
Yeah, he's basically doing the Michael Myers kind of just I'm just the shape just standing there
staring.
Yeah, no, I liked his delivery sometimes. I think my favorite is when he kind of flips what just happened to him, but we're talking about where Franklin and Sinclair are like, oh, that's superstitious nonsense, like blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. When Delenn comes back, so we'll kind of tackle this scene and also the scene where she talks to Sinclair and explains why she reacted that way. But when Delenn comes back, and she talks about the Minbari faith, which I'll detail in a second, but his reaction to that is like, silly fantasy. Like, he basically reacts to the way that Franklin reacted to him saying that he took souls. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting that we have the context of, okay, so we side with the humans because they're from Earth, they're like us, this is our representation in the future, and they think, souls, silly nonsense, right? I love that we get to hear his reaction to the Minbari's faith, where he thinks her faith is silly nonsense, and it's just this idea that obviously to everyone else sees it sounds like silly nonsense. And I thought that was kind of fascinating. So we should detail what it is though. So a couple of key things is that in the Earth Minbari War near the end, their leader, the Minbari leader that is, Ducat. Sorry, yes, Ducat. Yes.
It's Ducat, and I know that because that's the big Deep Space Nine connection. Because the big baddie throughout the entirety of the series is Gul Dukat, a Cardassian.
Interesting.
Gul is a it's not a name, but like a ranking, and then Dukat is just his name.
Are you telling me the Cardassians evolve over the next few centuries and then end up being like villains in the universe?
I don't know that they're ever not villains, but maybe.
It was just a joke, because Cardassian and Kardashian sounds the same, okay?
Oh, that was a Kardashian joke. I thought you were saying Cardassian, but like
no,
as a Scottish person,
as opposed to whatever else I am. The rest of the time. But anyway, so he was dying, and we find out that the soul hunters only don't go after everyone. They go after souls that they believe are from important people, whether it's leaders, artists, philosophers.
Yes, I like this, and then it follows up with the magician that's about to die. Like, going after the magician?
Well, no.
Surely the magician does not follow suit into that. I know he doesn't actually take a soul, but he gets he gets like real aroused by it.
Well,
this magician is dying.
I think that was just showing that he senses death in proximity. I don't think that was saying that he was actually interested in the street musician's soul.
We go after artists, great minds, and magicians.
He didn't go after the magician. Maybe he would. Maybe a magician would be impressive. Because he even says at the end, lunatics as well. Like, anyone who would have thoughts that normal people wouldn't have, right? That's the idea, right? So, but the idea is that, so this Ducat was like, the Minbari are a very private race for a start, but you've got this leader who was leading them during this war. This is a big get. So a lot of soul hunters went after him, and the Minbari are so protective of their souls that they, as he puts it, formed a human, not human obviously because they're Minbari, but a Minbari body shield to stop them. Whether that's literal or not, I'm not really sure. But the idea being that they took it so seriously and stopped them that he thought it was a tragedy, like it was a waste that this great Minbari died. And then what's interesting is the counterpoint from Delenn is that the Minbari kind of see their themselves as kind of like one big muddled ball of reincarnation, where they don't necessarily all come back individually, but the idea that when they die, they go back into the central sort of pool of like souls that all forms one big soul, and then eventually part of it will come back out as another person in the next generation. So any soul that's taken, as she puts it, means that the next generation is a little lesser than the generation from before. And I thought that was a really interesting take on reincarnation. Again, maybe even reincarnation is not the right term in this case, because it's not exactly what it is. It's like they've joined the mold of the whole, and then the whole spits out another, it's like it mixes back up with everyone else, and then
yeah, there's a race in Deep Space Nine that do that exact thing.
Oh,
the changelings are the founders. That's exactly what they are, but like physically.
Out of curiosity, how early did they appear in the show?
Well, I mean, Constable Odo is there from the pilot, but we don't know about that part of their life until I don't know, like season 3 or 4.
Sure. I mean, because I have no idea like how much like JMS pitched to Paramount when he pitched Babylon 5, so how much they could have taken, but that sounds remarkably close.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. So
we'll see how much of this comes back in Babylon 5. Like this could just be a one-time thing. Like our souls all mingled together and we get reincarnated.
Yeah. Well, which could be amazingly. I mean, what's funny is a lot of the stuff that is like kind of stolen, for better or worse. It's kind of funny that there probably is a few things in the middle that are actually just complete coincidences that just feel like they're stolen because there's so much that we know is stolen.
I know. Like, is Dukat like just an easy to make up name, or
maybe
someone else? I don't know. Maybe they're both important for a reason.
Or maybe the name actually is named after someone in history, so they're actually both from the same source in a weird way. I don't know. Like, there's possibilities. And for the record, I don't want to like. Just because something else took this, I don't necessarily think that makes Deep Space Nine like that show that you should like look upon as like if Deep Space Nine is great, which I'm sure the Tower's going to tell me it is, but I mean, as someone who's not seen it yet, Deep Space Nine, when I watch that, I will go into that with an open mind, and if it's great, it'll be great. But you can.
I mean, they're still very different shows.
Yeah, but you can acknowledge that it took a lot from another idea.
I can. Yes.
So, but no, I thought all this Minbari like mythology is one of my favorite things about this show, from what I've seen of it, is the mythology that it builds for all its races and like how deep it is. So I love that stuff coming up. I thought that was really good. And then the other big thing we found out about Delenn herself from this conversation is when he kind of like goes, "I recognize you. You were there. You protected Dukat. Wait a minute. You're Setai Delenn of the Grey Council." And the Grey Council was mentioned before. And we found out that she was on there, and it's like, because he even says that it's spelled out even clearer with Sinclair later, but he says, "Why would a member of the Grey Council be playing ambassador on Babylon 5?" And it's like, wait, so she's actually much more important than she seems, but she's choosing to be here instead.
Well, it raises a number of possibilities, right? It could be that she is there on a mission of some type, which, I mean, this soul hunter is sort of alluding to, or at least like maybe it's a red herring, like the way he describes like you would do that when he looks into her soul.
Yes, later on,
yeah, sort of telling us that like she may be nefarious. I don't know, or she may be there for other reasons that are not to the benefit of humans. I don't know, or it could be that she's there as punishment. Like maybe they sent her out there to hide her, or to like she's clearly better or like better suited for something else, but they wanted to give her this assignment to get her out of the way.
I think my instinct, based on what we've seen so far, is that she wasn't sent here as punishment. This wasn't a demotion. This is something intentional, where I think she, not even just as on a mission from them, I think she personally chose to sort of be at the front of this with Sinclair.
Well, there's also that whole mystery around Sinclair. Maybe she's been put there to watch him for a specific reason, because we don't know why he disappeared. He has missing time, but I think we all can assume that she knows.
Again, though, I do think she has a personal like stake in this, in the sense that, and when I say personal stake, I don't mean it's specifically for her, just in that I think she cares so much about this, whatever's going on with Sinclair, that I think she wanted to be here, she wanted to supervise this, and that's why she is so friendly with him. That's why she's formed a bond with him. And it is a real bond. Like, they are friends when they're talking together, and they're being very cordial with each other. It feels like they're trying to form a relationship.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that they were at war like only, I don't know, a few years before or something.
Yeah, decade, 10 years ago.
Yeah, like it's hard to believe just looking at the way they interact.
I mean, 10 years ago, I was seeing Inception in the theaters. It's not long. 10 years is not a long time.
No. You can harness a lot of bad feelings for people that you were at war with.
Yeah. It's interesting. But it is interesting because I think we heard last episode, or the episode before, where Sinclair, when he talks about, it was last episode because he talked about the attack on Rogue Ash 3. He talks about, when the idea is brought up that maybe the Minbari have attacked the colony, he says no, they wouldn't do that. Like, the Minbari are too honorable. They would never like do something that sneaky. And it's like, oh, so he has a respect for them as warriors, despite the fact that he was fighting them. He's actually earned respect for them because of how they fought, because of their attitude. So the fact that they've got this nefarious scheme possibly with Sinclair or something, like, and maybe it isn't even that nefarious. Maybe, like.
Maybe not. It's just the way that the Soul Taker had said it was. I don't know, like they're trying to make us think that it is.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a possibility, like, for sure. Like, they definitely want us to go, well, she seems really nice, but is there something else there that's...
She's hiding something.
Yeah. And she is definitely hiding something, but is it something that we're going to ultimately think is bad? Or is it something that we just have to accept that they know better or something? I don't know. Like, we'll find out. We'll get more as we go. But I thought it did a good job at teasing those mysteries. It did a good job of setting up some more mythology for the Minbari. And I think... definitely, and even Sinclair, because he hears because later on when he's fighting the Soul Hunter, and he's saying, she's not just a Minbari, she's a Satai, and he looks up the word, he says, Google, search for word, and it explains, Satai's like a high rank on the Grey Council. It's like, wait, why would they send someone like that? That's like sending the vice president to be like a regular, diplomat.
Yeah, I like that he ends with, oh well. Another day, I'll look into it. No biggie.
He's had a rough day. He had like a Soul Hunter, because that was one of the things I liked about the episode as well, is that we hear that a lot of the alien species on the station are leaving like ahead of schedule. They all want to get out. They're all scared of the Soul Hunter being there, and I think it's because it means that someone's going to die. Because usually they go somewhere when they know someone's about to croak because they want to take the soul. But of course the big.
Sorry, it was just a magician.
It wasn't the magician. He doesn't go after the soul. It just wakes him up. He's just like, oh, there's death.
The other thing that made me laugh. I'll think of it. There are two scenes that really made me laugh.
But there's a second Soul Hunter that comes, and we find out once the first Soul Hunter escapes by knocking out his guard. The guard, by the way, is an idiot. He hears a crash and just
checks
goes
out.
in.
Yeah.
But this second Soul Hunter is like, yes, my brother has been off the deep end. Basically, the loss of not getting Ducat was so monumental to him that he basically said, why are we waiting for people to die? Let's just kill them so we can be there when they die, so we can take their souls.
Yeah. I think, like because he wasn't able to, the other Soul Taker that shows up says something about like, they're always successful. Like they always get a soul. And like, this is the first time that he wasn't able to successfully get a soul, and it kind of made him go mad.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's an interesting idea, and basically it turns into him wanting Delenn, because he realizes how important Delenn is. So he goes after Delenn, kidnaps her, and he's got this machine. I never realized that there was so much device heavy stuff in taking the soul. It's actually like an operation, but he's got these orbs, because we find out his collection of orbs they've got souls in them that he's got in his sack, and because that's the other thing. Delenn's really upset when she finds out that some of them might be the Minbari. Like the thought of that he's got some Minbari souls is like very upsetting to her. But obviously they're looking through the ship. They realize that Delenn's missing. They're trying to figure out where he would be going. We have a bit of an action scene. Sinclair struggles with him a little bit. But there's a couple of teases, as you mentioned. There's him saying when he's looking into her soul, like, oh, you would do that? And then, of course, when he's with Sinclair, says, she's a Satai, blah, blah, blah. But basically, some of the orbs sort of reject him and sort of win the fight, essentially. Which I took that to mean that the ones that fought back, the souls that kind of fought against him, were probably the ones that he'd murdered to take, rather than the ones that had died naturally that he was there to take. It would be my assumption, because he keeps calling them his children. He's like, my children, my souls. Some of this stuff was a little goofier. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think like some of the Soul Taker stuff wasn't all great. I like some of his performance, and I thought it did bring out some cool mythology, but there was some goofy elements here.
Oh, definitely.
Where the souls floating around or the orbs floating around. I was almost starting to think of Phantasm. I was like, like.
Oh, I've never seen that, but I know what you're referring to, like the little ball things. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
So but Delenn does, on like she's like sort of passing out from the drugs or whatever when she's back in med bay, and she looks at Sinclair and says, "They were right about you." And it's like, who's they? And she sort of passes out. And I almost like kind of almost the meta joke here, where Franklin's like, "Oh, you'll just have to wait till she wakes back up," and Sinclair's like, "I'll bet you half my year's salary she does not finish that sentence when she's like, she's all there." But that sets him on the path of starting to think about it and start to poke around what may be going on, which is cool. So I liked all the mythology building stuff. That was good. Actually, one thing we should talk about is after the magician dies, and the street magician. I mean, we say street magician. He's like the hustler who does the 3 cups thing, who gets stabbed because he's conning people out of their money. He gets the with much less pageantry, but he gets essentially the Spock send off because his family can't afford to fly him back to Earth. So it's basically just Franklin and Ivanova like shooting him out the station in a casket.
I know.
I kind of like this. This kind of plays back into the sort of the society and like politics like commentary that the show has. This idea that this guy's poor, so he doesn't get anything else. It's just.
Well, yeah,
disposal.
They said like they called his next of kin, and then like they couldn't afford to send him, like to ship him home. Like, okay, so you just ship him off into space.
It's just a little contextual world thing that I like that they added in. It does lead to a big speech though from Franklin talking about how short human life is compared to the vastness of the universe and time, and just as we're starting to figure life out, it's just about over. It takes us that long. And Ivanova gets really cynical and says, "Heck, if we were lived to 1,000 years, we'd just be."
Yeah, we would still make the same mistakes. We're still human, no matter how long we live.
Yes, which leads to you're cynical. Yeah, I'm Russian. We know these things.
It's not cynicism; it's reality.
Yeah. So
something like that.
It's a bit of a out of nowhere monologue for him, but. I mean, how do you feel about Franklin just from his first appearance here?
I mean, it's not the strongest entry. It's like he shows up and he's like, "I'm the skeptic. I don't think I like these people what they're saying about souls. I'm the doctor. I'm the scientist." And I mean, it's an all right introduction. Like he needs to. We get it. Like he doesn't believe in souls, and that's about it. But I mean, he seems fine. Is he like a real likable character in the show? I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm not even sure, but I just in the sense that, given that we're replacing characters from the Gathering, do you think it's an upgrade? Do you think he, felt more like a natural fit?
I didn't really care much for the Doctor in the last one.
So, yes, he's an upgrade.
So yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, maybe they hit you over the head with the skeptic thing a little bit much, but. I think it's important to have that character there. And hey, it's not like McCoy in Star Trek wasn't the skeptical one.
Yeah, exactly. He's just here to be like, I'm... yeah, I don't know. Like, he just shows up and is not very open-minded. But that's all right. I guess they need one of those in the scene, because I'm not very open-minded either, so...
Damn it, Jeffrey. I'm a doctor, not a soul taker.
Soul taker. Soul Taker is a Mystery Science Theater film. And they definitely make that joke.
Yes. I was wondering why you've been saying Soul Taker every time instead of Soul Hunter.
Yeah, well, you just said Soul Taker also.
I did, because you've been saying it, so you've got it in my brain now. You've infected me.
I can't help it. I'm a Mystery Science Theater fan first.
I know. So...
Do you want to talk about the last line in the show?
The last line?
Okay, this is maybe the part that makes him a little bit unlikable, the new doctor, but he basically asked Sinclair, like, so did you see something? And he said, I don't know what I saw. And the guy goes, well, careful who you say that to, or you don't want to take, or you'll be like on unexpected leave or something for a while. Like, we're going to send you to the loony bin in a sense.
Oh,
Which is a little dark when you think about it.
I think to me it came off a bit more jokey, like he was just sort of...
Yeah, but in the context of what we know the actual actor is going through at the time, like... Ugh,
oh, I see what you're saying.
That does not age very well.
I see what you're saying. To be fair, I don't think when they wrote that line...
Oh, no, they definitely did.
Yeah.
Although the actor might have known.
I mean, yeah, the actor may have known what his medical condition, but I don't think... It never even occurred to me.
Okay. I thought it was very unfortunate.
But fair enough. I don't know. I'm in the show. It's the character. I'm not thinking about the actors, kind of thing. But I see what you're saying. It's maybe an unfortunate little joke given his mental health issues.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's a goodbye scene with the second Soul Hunter, where Sinclair says, "Look, Soul Hunters are barred on Babylon 5. I appreciate you think you're helping, but everyone else freaks the crap out when you're around, so I can't have you here." And he accepts that, but he's like, "But by the way, my brother's collection of souls, were they just lying around somewhere?" And then the end of the episode, because he says like, life's full of many mysteries, except that this is one of them. But we cut to Delenn, who's breaking the orbs, releasing the souls, as it were.
Yeah.
So, no.
And she's very happy.
Yeah. That's interesting.
The other scene that made me laugh, I remembered it, was again with the doctor and the alien in the behind the glass, and the alien is like watching him with the magician, like the doctor work on the magician. He's like, yes, the soul is coming or something. Like he's just saying all these things, and it seems like he's just saying it to himself, and then it cuts to the doctor and they're like, turn that speaker off. Like, oh my god, you've been listening to him do that the whole time. It just made me laugh.
No, that's fair. So you could have muted him. You could just mute him.
I can't believe you've been letting him do this the whole time you're doing surgery.
That's fair.
Baby laugh.
There's some ambience, I suppose. Yeah, that's good. I think what's interesting about the Soul Hunter stuff is that if you let's take the spiritual idea of it, right? Let's forget that we're talking about souls and orbs, right? Let's say that this was just technology, and
honestly, like watching Black Mirror has helped me accept this a bit more. You know what I mean? Like the consciousness being transferred from through technology.
This is what I was going to say, is that let's say that you just give this a slightly different coat of paint, and you say that this is actually some mad scientist who's a computer engineer has found a way to download brains into a hard drive or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening here. And then think about the context of the way he talked about souls. He talked about how death is the end unless we preserve them. So think of it as like, he's kind of like a weird extreme version of like an atheist who's like, no, these people are gone forever unless we copy their data, right? That's essentially what he's saying, but obviously in a more spiritual
they don't
way.
Have to die. Like in this way, they can live forever.
Yeah,
except they don't really have a choice on the matter.
I do find enjoying when you find a way to take like a more atheist concept but turn it into an extreme thing, because what's funny is the atheists tend to be really laid back about stuff because that's kind of the point. We don't care. Yeah, chicken in here. But I do like this though. I like this idea of like, because I also love the idea of like the mad scientist, and this is not a mad scientist per se, but you can see how I'm comparing it to that. If you think of it as like technology rather than
or even this
thing.
Like the Delenn side of the argument with the technology is not. I was thinking of the episode San Junipero where the woman, older woman is going to be dying soon, and she's basically checking out the real estate of the afterlife, which is just technology. But then she runs the risk of, well, what happens when I actually die? I won't get to experience that because instead I've chosen to upload my consciousness into this.
But of course we have the human problem of we don't really know if anything does happen. So I mean,
we don't know. But
no, it's
maybe that is better.
Yeah,
maybe that is the better option. We don't know.
Yeah, because you could take this and apply it to a person with technology who says we can technically live forever by copying your brain, and then a person who is religious just saying, but no, I want to go to heaven. Like you can compare you can take this and just slot it into that, which is why sci-fi is so good.
I don't want to live forever.
Oh sure, yeah, I don't want to live. But yeah, I don't have to live forever. I just have to live long enough to see all my enemies crushed by life and age and death, and after that I can die.
How many of those do you have?
How long you got?
Oh dear.
I'm kidding. Just Connor. All right, so that's episode 2 of Babylon 5. I don't think it was as good as the first episode, Midnight in the Firing Line, but I do think
I think it's stepped down for sure.
Yeah, I guess just one final thing I would maybe say as well is that I mean it was true in the last one as well, but the music being the step up from the Gathering, I really felt it in this one. There was stuff where, in fact, there's a scene which we did not mention where when the Soul Hunter gets out of the med bay and away from the guard, he goes to like a black market.
Praying mantis looking thing.
Yeah. It was like essentially the black market like guy who can like get things and get you places. But on Babylon 5, it's like an alien that's like a praying mantis big puppet thing. I love it. This is not a complaint. I love it. More of this.
I really liked it too.
More of this. More of the shady mantis. All right. Well, that pretty much.
He's like, I need a map. I need to be able to get to all the secret places and the hiding spots and all the entrances and the sewers or whatever on Babylon 5. It turns out he needs it because he's got a whole lot of equipment to haul. He's got to bring a table with the binding things on it. He's got this big engine thing that for taking the souls. Like he's not subtle. Like he needs a lot of equipment to do his work.
He does, yes. Also, when he gets his bag of souls, his orbs, he's like, "Oh, my soul, precious." Yes. Yes, that's right. I made a Lord of the Ring reference, right? It's not going to happen often.
We welcome it.
But it was the most relevant thing.
We welcome you as one of us.
I am not a Lord of the Rings fan. Do not start me. So that is Babylon 5, episode 2. So back next week with episode 3. Let us know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe. Like is super important on YouTube. It is the easiest and free way to support everything we do, and let us know you're enjoying the content, and obviously comment as well. But you can support us financially, can't you, Tara?
That's right. If you like the show, you like what we do, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MilefuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of other shows we do, including The Ace, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, which is our science fiction movie review show. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to some shows a week early, including Babylon 5. So watch along with us a week ahead of everyone else. Thank you.
Excellent. I don't think there was any mistakes here. I kind of zone out a little bit now when you're doing it. I'm not really paying that much attention. That's my time.
I don't need a grade every time.
That's my time to take a drink and think about, I don't know, life, universe, everything. But there you go. That is us. Also catch us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5, and if you have any trouble, just get our head of security. His name is Mr. Garibaldi!